Hi everyone and welcome. We're going to be doing a mat class today with our towel. Today we're going to be focusing a whole bunch on opening up the hips. So go ahead and meet me on the mat and we'll get started. We're going to start with a test. So I want you to, if you can of course, sit on the floor cross-legged and just notice how comfortable, uncomfortable that is, where you feel your tightness. Where you don't feel your tightness. Can you sit up tall? Could you sit here for a long period of time? So just close your eyes for a minute and take just a mental photograph, because we're going to try this again at the end of class just to see if anything has changed. And now this is wild. I want you to switch your legs, which is probably going to feel super, super weird. My son's texting me. I don't want you guys to hear it. I have my lesson plan right here. All right, so notice how that feels. And again, take that mental image. And then let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start by stretching out our hamstrings. Lay down on your mat. And roll your towel up in a nice thin strip. Loop it around your right foot, reach that right leg towards the ceiling, and your left leg out long on the floor. Square your hips and relax your shoulders. I'm going to focus on your breathing here while we keep the leg in the stretch. So just nice long inhales and nice long exhales. You can make little movements with your legs, so circle it around, take it out to the side, move it up and down. Anything that increases and decreases that stretch. And now keep the left side of your body nice and heavy. Open this leg out to the side. You'll feel that stretch move into your inner thighs. Continue your nice long inhales and exhales. Make your exhales a little bit longer than you think possible. And bring that leg back up to center. Cross your leg over your midline and only as far as you can keep your right hip down. And then bring your leg back to center. We're going to hold on to the towel. It's kind of going to be like our steering wheel for our leg, and we're going to make some nice big leg circles. So what I want you to find here is just that femur bone rotating in the hip socket, moving all around. Try to keep your pelvis pretty still. If it moves a little bit, that's okay. We're just looking for the range. And reverse. And then bend your knee and shake that leg out. And place your right leg on the floor, bring your left leg up. And we're just going to hold still for a moment while you go back to your breathing. And then you can start making your little movements with your leg. And again, those could be circles. They can just be forward, back. Anything counts. And then open this leg out to the side. And bring the leg back to center. Cross it over your midline again, keeping that left hip down so you won't go very far. And this stretch can be pretty intense. And then bring that leg back to center. And make your nice big leg circles. Once again, just focusing on the range of motion you have with that femur bone in the hip socket. And reverse it. And then bend your knee and shake out that foot. Shake out that leg. And bring your leg down. So both legs are nice and long underneath you now. Drag your right heel up in a straight line right towards your sits bone. And then open your right knee out to the side. And if your pelvis goes with you a little bit, that's okay. Don't get too nitpicky on that. We want to just focus on the mobility in the hip right now. And then reach that right foot out on that same straight line. And then turn your leg back to a neutral position. Pull the heel in towards you, open the knee out to the side, reach that leg long, bring the leg back to neutral. So keep going. Looking for some easeful movement in there. And then we're going to switch directions. So the next time the leg is long and straight, keep it there. Turn out from your hip and then pull that heel in towards your sits bone. Close your knee back to neutral and lengthen your leg back out long. This is way easier to do on like a carpet because it's a little more slippery, a little more slipperier. What would be the word? Slippery. I just had like a complete brain shutdown. Slipperier. All right, and then we're gonna try the other side. So drag that heel in towards you, open your knee out, extend the leg long, turn the leg back to neutral. And then reverse the direction. So next time that leg is long, turn out from the hip, bring the heel in, close the knee towards the ceiling, and then lengthen out long. And one more. All right, bring both knees. So they're bent, pointed towards the ceiling. Bring your hands behind your head. Open your elbows wide. Soften your whole rib cage down into the mat. And then lift your elbows up about 1/2 inch or so. As you exhale, nod your chin towards your chest, lengthen the back of your neck, lift your head, neck, and shoulders up, and then lower down with a lot of control. Exhale it up, and inhale, lower. Let's add the leg. So this time as you come up, you're gonna lengthen that leg right along that straight line. Turn it open. As you're lowering your head, neck, and shoulders down, you're dragging that heel back in. Bring the knee back to the ceiling. Other side. Lift your head, neck, and shoulders as you lengthen your left leg. Turn out. Lower down. Bring the heel in. Turn your knee back to the ceiling. You've got it. Keep going at your own pace. Make sure you're using those upper abs to do the lifting. Every time you exhale, that chin goes down towards your chest and your rib cage sinks deeper into the mat. Last one. All right, keep both feet on the floor. We're gonna move into the obliques. We're gonna keep the legs still though, just in this neutral position. Bring your right shoulder up and over towards your left hip. and come down. And left shoulder up and over towards the right hip and come down. Just keep alternating. Keep your elbows in the same relationship to your head, neck, and shoulders, whether you're up or down. One more to each side. And rest down and stay. Take your feet nice and wide. Drop your right knee in towards your midline. And find that stretch. And just check in on that stretch. See if you can go deeper. See if there's more in there that you can find. If you can, take your left heel, place it on top of your right knee, and then gently press that knee into the floor. Your right hip is probably not touching the mat. And then let that right knee go. Drop your left knee in towards your midline. Notice that stretch. And if you'd like to go deeper, take your right heel to the knee and press it down. We'll let that left knee go. Feet are wide, knees are pointing towards the ceiling. Find that neutral spine position. So your tailbone is heavy, your low back is light, rib cage heavy. Drop both knees to the left side. And then reach through that right hip to bring your pelvis back to neutral. It will drag the legs up behind it, and then drop your legs to the right. Reach through that left hip, bring it back to neutral, landing right there in the center. And drop, and just continue going side to side. Focus on, as you're dropping over, just how much you can give into that stretch, and just let go, let the legs drop where they drop, completely release, and then lift back up. And one more to each side. When you bring your knees back up, pick one leg up to tabletop and then the other, so your knees are floating right over those hips. Reach your arms up high towards the ceiling, shoulder blades plant down into the floor. As you exhale and reach both arms behind you, tap your right foot down towards the ground and come back up to your starting position. And reach back, tap your other foot down towards the ground, bring everything back up to start. Keep alternating. And remember, with these, your belly muscles are supporting the weight of your legs. Your core muscles are also preventing your pelvis from moving or your rib cage from moving with the movement of your limbs. On this next one, we're going to add a step. So as you reach back with your arms, reach forward with your foot, just like before, tap the foot down, and then about halfway up, turn that leg out, tap the foot down again, bring everything back, and then take the rotation out, bring your arms towards the ceiling. So your arms are gonna hover back above your head for a little while. And reach back, tap, lift that leg halfway up, turn out, tap. As you're bringing that leg back in, take the rotation out, bring your hands back to the ceiling. Keep going. Remember, turn out from the hip, not the knee. One more time each side. And then hug your knees deep into your chest. Let that low back press into the mat. And rock side to side. You can rock your head too. Find that towel. And we're going to fold it up so we can place it underneath our hips for a stretch. So you want to have it as thick as possible, but also large enough that it will support underneath your sacrum. So once you're there, pull your right knee into your chest, lengthen your left leg long, connect that left heel to the floor. And really, the more you pull your right leg towards you, the more I want you to reach. The more you pull your right leg towards you, the more I want you to reach your left leg away from you. Those legs are moving in 2 different directions. And then hug that right knee over towards the right shoulder. Keep reaching down through that left leg. And then the right knee over towards the left shoulder. Right shoulder stays on the mat. Right knee back towards your chest. And then back off a little bit. Take your right hand to your right knee and stir that femur in the hip socket again. Just trying to get as much range in there. And reverse it. Hug that knee in one more time. And then release. Connect the right heel to the floor. Pull your left knee in. And hug the left knee over towards the left shoulder. Hug the left knee over towards the right shoulder on the floor. Hug that knee to center again. And then back off just a little bit and stir that leg in the hip socket. Reverse. And hug that knee into center one more time. Remember this feeling of one leg pulling towards you and one leg stretching away from you. We're going to use it in a little bit. All right, release. Take the towel out from underneath you. Place your hands on your low belly or your hip bones, and we're just going to put your hands there to give you a little bit of information while we work on some leg circles. Lengthen your left leg out long, and then reach your right leg up high towards the ceiling. Just like we did with our towel, we're going to circle this leg, but it's going to be harder because our towel's not there to help. Cross the leg over your midline, circle it down and around, and swoop it back up. Cross, circle down and around, and swoop it back up. It does help to have pointed toes. And now as you're doing these circles, try to keep everything in your pelvis, even left to right. Nothing rocking back and forth. Reverse it. Make sure you're crossing that midline. Try to relax your shoulders. Make sure you're breathing. And next time that leg comes up to center, stop, flex, reach through that heel, lower that leg all the way down. Down, down, down. Keep lengthening. When your heel reaches the floor, point your toes, kick your leg up, flex, reach, lower, 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 lower. Point up, flex, reach, lower it down. Keep reaching through the back of the leg. 2 more. Last one. Keep that leg heavy and anchored to the floor. Bring your left leg up, point your toes. Square your hips, keep those hips as still as you can get them. Cross your midline, circle down and around. Cross, down and around. Check in with your shoulders. I just noticed mine were like, we can help. Shoulders can't help. Shoulders get to relax. Reverse it. And then the next time you're in center, hold it, flex that foot, reach that heel long. When the heel touches, point your toes, kick up, flex and reach. Point, kick up. Last one. Good. Lower down, wiggle out the legs. In and out, and in and out, and in and out, and in and out. And then bend your knees, slide your feet up. Pick one leg up to tabletop and then the other. Take your right hand to your right shin, to the side of your shin, and your left hand to your right knee. Exhale, curl your head, neck, and shoulders up. Your low back can be in the floor on this one, so you're in a bit of a tucked position. Pull your right leg towards you, reach your left leg away from you, and switch, and switch. So pelvis can be tucked, but we're not rocking side to side. Keeping it nice and still. So this is what I said. Remember that feeling of one leg pulling in and one leg lengthening long? Find it here. Keep that head lifted with those upper abs. Hold this one for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch and hold it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch and hold again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pull it in. Hug those knees deep into your chest and rock them side to side. And then roll over onto your right side. Lay with your head all the way down. If you do want to use your towel as a little pillow there, you absolutely can. Legs are nice and long underneath you. Hips are stacked. Reach your top leg longer, lift it up just to hip height, and then lower it down. Reach it long and lift it. Lower it down. And now see if you can go up higher. You can keep going higher. However, as you're lifting that leg up, no matter how high, you don't want this top hip to hike up towards you. That top hip is staying nice and long away from your rib cage. Keep going. And now on this one, just lift the leg to hip height, flex your feet, and swing your leg forward, point your toes, swing your leg back. Flex forward, point back. And I want you to try to find just how far back you can go without falling over or without pressing your top body forward. So you can really, really take your time and explore that. Definitely use your top hand to help assist with the balance while you're exploring that range. And then press back to that point. The furthest point back you can go, that's going to be the edge of your circle, the back edge. Start circling that leg. Always trying to hit the back edge of the circle. And reverse it. and then bicycle. So pedal that top leg and still try to reach all the way back to that point. Reverse your bike. And the next time your leg is reaching behind you, keep reaching it as far as you can to the back corner of your room, and then take your top arm and reach it into the front corner of your room. We're looking for as much stretch in this front hip as possible. So just keep reaching, reaching, reaching. And hang out there and breathe. Come back to your side. And then bend your knees. Hips stay stacked. Take your top hand to your top hip. We're gonna open that knee. So we're finding those external rotators of the hip, of the leg. And then as you're bringing your knee to the bottom knee, lift your foot up. Those are the inner rotators. So open the knee, open the foot. And then you can sort of mash up those two movements a little bit so they go a little bit faster. As the knee is opening, the foot is closing. And then last one. And let that leg rest down. Stretch your legs out about halfway so there's still like a medium bend in your knee. And we'll do it again. So knee opens, and as the knee is closing, the foot opens. And then one more clam for us. Lengthen the legs almost all the way. There's just a little baby bend, and the knee opens and the foot opens. And then rest. Bend your top knee so much that you can grab your ankle or your foot or your pants. And then make sure that leg is just at hip height. You don't want the knee any higher or lower than your hip. See how everything's feeling. If your knee feels fine, if your hip feels fine, take that leg back behind you just a teeny tiny bit. Flex your foot if you feel pressure in your knee. And if that doesn't help the pressure in your knee, just back off at the stretch. So you shouldn't feel any straining here. Just a nice stretch in your quads, maybe your hip flexors. And then release. Roll to your back. And wherever that towel is, place it, grab it, place it underneath your head. And then your left ankle over your right knee, pull your right leg towards you. Then you can either hold still here, or you can go side to side, front and back. If you want to work on a little ankle mobility, you can flex and point and flex and point. You can make circles with your ankles. Reverse them. And then take your hands out of the way and bring your left foot down to the floor on your right side. And check out that stretch. If you feel like you want to go deeper into it, pull your left knee closer towards the floor. Just Go nice and slow. Your body will tell you when it has a good stretch. And then try pressing your knee away from you to move that stretch more into the front of the hip. And then untangle yourself from that, and I'll meet you on the other side. Bring your towel with you for later. All right, find your nice straight line. Top hand can absolutely help you balance, especially when we start doing the swinging back and forth. Flex and lengthen your top leg, lift that foot up and lower it down. And you want to be nice and heavy on that bottom hip bone, nice and light in the bottom waistline. Even if it's touching the floor, it's light. All right, now flex the foot, swing it forward, point the toes, kick it back. You can go nice and slow. See, I went past my point, I fell over. You can point your toes and reach back as far as you can go without falling over or pressing the top of your body forward. And flex to kick forward, point to move it back. Just try to find that spot behind you, the very edge that you can go to. Remember where it is. And then as we start our circles, make that be the back edge of your circle. So you can get started on those circles now. And reverse them. And then take it into your bicycle. And reverse. Reach that top leg as far behind you as you can, and then your top arm diagonally across your room. And remember, we want to try to stretch through that top hip as much as possible. So really open that area up. And come back to your back. Bend your knees. Top hip stays right on top of that bottom hip. Stays stacked the whole time. And then open your knee. And as that knee is closing, open your foot. One more. We're going to straighten the legs a little bit and continue. And then last round, straighten your legs almost all the way. And rest, quad stretch first, actually. Grab your foot or your pants. Remember, just pay careful attention to that knee. Sometimes knees don't like the stretch and it's really not worth it to push them beyond their comfort. So leg at hip height. And then if everything is feeling good, you can bring that leg slightly behind you. Keep your foot flexed. And only go as far as you want. As far as feels good. And roll to your back. Place the towel underneath your head. And right ankle over the left knee in. Hug it in nice and tight. And you can hold still or you can rock. You can get a little bit more ankle mobility in, especially if that's one of your homework assignments. Circles. Switch. And then take your hands out of the way, drop your right foot down to the floor. And pause there for a moment, assess the stretch situation. If it feels like you want to go in deeper, just gently hug that knee towards the floor, the right knee that is. And then try pressing that knee away from you. Go slow. And then release it. Roll up to your hands and your knees. And you don't need the towel, so you can put that off to the side. All right, on our hands and knees, we're gonna do a little bit of flexion and extension. As you exhale, pull your belly button up towards the ceiling, let your whole spine round. And you wanna try to find a consistent roundness. Most of us have a very easy time rounding in one part and not the other. So we wanna try to get everything consistent as best we can. Inhale, melt the spine down between your shoulder blades, lengthen through your head, lengthen through your tailbone. And exhale, round it up. And move into extension. Find the length so that low back doesn't get crunched. Last one. Find center and stay. Pick your right leg up, reach it out long behind you so the toes are on the floor. And then from there, try to square your hips and square your shoulders. Maintain that as you float that right leg up to about hip height. And then we're going to take it out to the side, squeeze it in. Out to the side, squeeze it in. Trying to stay balanced on your other three limbs. Belly muscles are in. Rib cage is heavy but not saggy. And then bring that leg right underneath you. Point your toes. And we're going to make some circles. The circles don't need to be big. Your goal, though, is to try to keep that pelvis as level and still as possible as that leg moves. Reverse it. And then lower those right toes down to the floor. Float that right leg up to hip height. Right leg down towards the floor. Right leg to hip height. One more. And rest. Bring your knee to the floor. You can sit back, wiggle out your wrists. Give them a break. I'm going to teach you a quick wrist tip here if you're feeling that in the wrist. When your hands are down, try to plug the four corners of your palm into the floor, like super plug them in. But then like a suction cup, try to draw the center of your palm up. See if that helps. All right, hands back to the floor. Reach your left leg back, toes to the ground. Square your hips, square your shoulders. Try the wrist thing. Lift that leg up to hip height. And then take it out to the side, squeeze it back in. These are really hard because you can't see your body, so you have to really trust your awareness of where your body is in space, and that comes with time and practice. So if your body isn't in the perfect position right now, that's absolutely fine. Just do your best. And then bring that leg in underneath you, point your toes, and we have our circles. Reverse. And then tap those left toes to the floor, lift up. Tap down, lift up. Last one. Come on down, sit comfortably for a moment. We're gonna stretch out the wrists. Hold your right hand up as if you're saying, no, no more. And then take your left hand and sort of just gently draw those fingers back. You're gonna get the stretch right here in the front. And then same thing with the other hand. Put your palm up and then gently pull those fingers back. And then returning to the right hand now, place your fingers down as if you're showing off a ring. And gently pull those fingers back so you'll get the stretch in the top of the wrist. Release, same thing with the left hand. And then the best part, wiggle them out. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. And rest. Grab your towel in case you need it. We're gonna try out the mermaid sit. So let's have our legs go off to the left. So your right shin is in front of you, your left shin is off to the side. And then try to bring your spine right over your pelvis, so right in center. A lot of times if we have tightness or things going on, we end up way out here. So try your best just to get center. You can close your eyes if it helps and just notice how far off the floor your left sits bone might be. It might be touching, it might be lighter than the right one. Just assess what that relationship between your two sits bones feels like. We want to try to get them level, so use your towel, and it depends on how unlevel they are, how much you want to fold your towel. Scooch it under your right sits bone so you can try to level them out as best you can. Then bring your right hand to the floor next to you, left hand to the floor in front of you. And we're going to push this left hip forward. So we're really going to try to open up that hip crease. Ready, go. And you'll feel that left sits bone lift up, open and stretch here. Your body can twist towards the right and then sink that sits bone back in towards the floor. And twist towards the right, open that hip and sink it back towards the floor. Keep going. Try to stay tall in your torso. Definitely twist left and right. Use your hands to press into the mat to help you. Every time you're sinking that sits bone back to see if you can go deeper into it. Get it closer to the floor. Next one, twist towards your right, push your hip forward and just stay. And then press that left sits bone back to the floor, sit up tall. Let's try the other side. So legs off to the right. Left shin in front of you, right shin off to the side, and assess what's going on, how much that right sits bone is up off the floor. And for most people, it's actually going to be different than the other side. So hold your towel up, depending on just how much space you have, and then put it underneath your left hip. So that's going to bring your left side up to meet your right side. And try to sit nice and tall in center. Left hand to the floor next to you, right hand to the floor in front of you, and we'll start the stretches again. So press that right hip forward, opening that hip crease, twist towards the left, and then sink that hip back down towards the floor, and twist, and sink it. And just a couple more. Last one. Hold it there. And release. Come back to hands and knees. Don't worry, our wrists won't be there for too long. Then have your towel up towards the top of the mat. Take your right foot in between your hands, and then take your right hand to the inside of that foot. So you've got a hand, and a foot. Start walking your hands forward, bending that right knee over your toes, and stretching the front of this back hip. If your right heel comes up off the floor, that's a-okay. So this is a pretty good stretch for the back of the right hip and the front of the left hip. If you want to go into it deeper, you can bring one or even two elbows down to the floor or down to your towel. You can fold your towel up a little bit to bring the floor up towards you. So you can really adjust this stretch for wherever you're at. And then sink into it. To come out of it, palms to the floor or to your towel, press yourself up. Back to hands and knees. Let's try the other side. So left foot in between your hands, and then the left hand moves to the other side of the foot. Walk forward. And you can either stay there or come down to an elbow, down to another elbow. You can use the towel under your elbows. Just go down as far as you feel good today. And then press your hands back into the floor to come back up. Take your knees really wide and then sink your torso down between your knees in a child's pose position to get one more hip stretch before we test and see if our sit has changed at all. So press your tush back. Let your torso be heavy and sink. Walk your hands towards you, press yourself up to sitting. And then sit cross-legged. Close your eyes and just notice how that feels. If you feel any change, you might not today. Just notice if you feel anything, any looser in the hips, any more space in those hips. And then change which ankle is on top. And notice that. So your homework before I see you again are those hip mobility exercises we started off with at the very, very beginning of class. You can do them sitting or laying down. Just dragging the heel up towards you, opening the knee, and then reaching the leg long, and then turning the leg back to neutral. So you can do it in both directions and on both legs. It's gonna really help keep the movement in those hips alive. And let me know how it goes. We'll see you next time. Bye.